Hi everyone, welcome to Apocryph Gaming and to episode 2 of our Alent campaign diary. So, last episode ended when our adventurers were chasing somebody who was following them. The follower then sank to his knees screaming and was stabilised by Tall Crow. The Kenku then noticed somebody off to the side, a cloaked figure, and he tried to make them stop but failed. The Royal Knights of Alent then arrived on scene. Paladin Grail, the commander of the Royal Knights, then approached the group and wanted to ask them some questions. So this session began with Tall Crow relaying to Paladin Grail exactly what had happened, and he did so through a series of voices that he used through his mimicry. So he was reciting things that he had heard in the voices that he had heard them. Now, I really enjoyed this. Clearly he's rehearsed this, or at least had this all planned out. And I really want him to make more use of it. I want Tall Crow to be paired up with, say, a rough barbarian who would then give inspiring speeches or barbaric war cries.
Spartans! Ready your breakfast and eat hearty. For tonight, we dine in hell!
But as you'll see later on, this talent kind of backfires on me. The Q&A session between the party and Paladin Grail was done as a sort of walk and talk. Grail had his knights sort out the scene itself, whilst he escorted them to a building. To the party's bewilderment, they walked right past the barracks where they expected to be taken for questioning, and instead arrived at this beautiful mansion. Paladin Grail just then turned to them and said, "Are you hungry? I'll have lunch prepared." The party accept and they walk through the door, and the first person that they see is this huge Leonin, black of fur and wearing quite fine clothing. Leonin, for those who don't know, Leonin are a bipedal race of lion folk. I think they're originally from Magic the Gathering, which is another product from Wizards of the Coast, and they've been ported into Dungeons and Dragons, seeing as they own both franchises. And of course I'm using it for my game. Anyway, the party see him, and Paladin Grail turns to the party and says, "This is Gifka, my shadow. Pay him no more heed than you would the air." Now that line of "his shadow" is an obscure reference to a Fire Emblem game and nobody caught it. That's bad because in the context of Fire Emblem, his shadow meant a attendant, a right-hand man. But I realised after the party were questioning this particular use of language that because Gifka's black, it sounds like a racial slur. And I really wish that I hadn't used that now in the campaign. I was in two minds about bringing it up in this video, but because the party were questioning it, I thought it's best to put my hands up, own up to mistakes, and I won't use it again. Anyway, they enter Grail's home and he leads them into the dining room. Seemingly out of nowhere, all these attendants then start pouring out of small passageways and immediately start laying the table with the kind of swiftness and speed that suggests that they've been trained to do this. As they approach the chairs, the attendants then pull the chairs out for them and then tuck them under the table again. And Paladin Grail goes and seats himself at the head of the table. Paladin Grail then explains to the party how his knights will take care of what just happened in the street. He then gives them a request. "You all seem like capable and dependable people, and I have an urgent task that I must attend to. However, as I am commander of the Royal Guard, I cannot leave the city. You, however, can, and thus you are perfect for this task. If you accept, you will of course be handsomely rewarded." He goes on to explain that the city is expecting a caravan of goods coming south from the Crown Roads, and it is running late. Grail is worried that bandits might have hijacked the caravan, and he needs somebody to investigate the potential attack on the caravan. The party accepts, and with that, Paladin Grail then gestures to Gifka, who then vanishes and comes back with two objects, a small lustrous stone and a two-pronged fork. He presents both to Tall Crow. "The stone is a sending stone. Use it to make contact with me when you have made contact with the caravan. The fork is a tuning fork. You'll need it outside of the city. The dimensional weave in Alent can be very, very thin and you can find yourself lost. If you think you are lost, you need to hit the fork and it will make this sound. If it makes any other sound, You are lost. The party leaves the manse, and they are accosted by a female gnome wearing intensely colourful robes, bright pink hair, and this ridiculous purple hat with rainbow quills and things like that. And she's holding a book of some kind, and she introduces herself to the party. Oh my god, hi! So, my name is Briella Harrington, and I'm a journalist for the Alent newspaper. I heard you are the people who saw that awful attack in Hawker Street. I wondered if you could answer some questions for me. The party have absolutely no idea if this girl is for real, but Vera, the gnome wizard in the party, obliges and answers her questions. Now, unfortunately for me, Tallcrow decides now's a good time to mimic Briella's voice and has this conversation with her in this sort of SoCal sorority girl kind of voice. Anyway, Briella leaves and the party head out of Alent to investigate the caravan. They realise they've got two options. Follow the Crown Road south is the first option. That's where the caravan is expected to be, and there's a good chance that they'll find it there. However, there's also a good chance that if it has been hijacked by bandits, they will see the party coming before the party sees them. The other option they've got is a nearby woodland that's providing ample cover to them and still gives them good visibility of the Crown Road. However, being thick brush and woodland, they could lose time in there as well. The party opts for option B and goes into the woodland. Now, I described this woodland to them as being really quite thick brush. The grass is at least knee height in places for medium-sized creatures, and there's a lot of trees around. And the party quickly realised this is a good spot for an ambush. And sure enough, as dusk starts to fall, they start to hear rustling. The party investigates, and Jeff, Vera's weasel familiar, then sniffs out the source of the rustling. They spot something in the grass, and it is small, green and vaguely humanoid. It's a goblin. So it's initiative, and whilst the goblin is still trying to disengage and hide from the party, Valkis, the dragonborn fighter, closes the distance to the goblin. He brings his massive great wall down onto the goblin, killing it in one blow. Of course he does, it's a goblin. They only have something like 7 HP anyway. So after killing the goblin, the party checks out the area. They know that goblins rarely travel alone. They don't find anything else, so as they go to leave, an arrow whizzes straight past Vera and thunks into a nearby tree. It seems that they've missed some. However, when the party turns around, they can't see where that arrow came from. They still hear rustling, but they can't see where the source is. So it's initiative again, and this time the party realise they have no idea how many goblins are here. This is the thing about goblins, they are masters of guerrilla warfare, and I wanted to make sure that the party really felt that. Unfortunately, I didn't get very many good attack rolls, but if that arrow had hit Vera, I would have treated it as sneak attack damage, and it would have probably killed her in one blow. She only has about 11 HP to her name. The goblin's strategy was simple. Disengage, hide, attack, rinse and repeat. And because of the thick brush, I treated the disengage and hide as a bonus action all at once for the goblins. It's easy for them to hide in grass that's as tall as they are. So whilst the goblins are hidden, the arrows come flying and Vera gets hit hard. She's still just about alive, she's got about 2 HP, but then I turn around to the player and say, make a constitution saving throw. Because in addition to guerrilla tactics, the goblins have another trick up their sleeves. Poison. The party realise they're in quite a bit of trouble now, and as this game of cat and mouse between them and the goblins unfold, Jeff, the weasel familiar, gets hit and dies. They do eventually manage to defeat the goblins, but as they're setting up camp for the long rest, they realise it's quite a Pyrrhic victory. They nearly lost to 4 goblins, and they are 3rd level adventurers. Now, I really enjoyed this because pitting 4 goblins against 4 3rd level adventurers should be an absolute cakewalk for the adventurers, no matter how you slice it. But by taking the environment and applying tactics that work to the strength of the goblins, you can scale this encounter up to be unbelievably difficult if you really want to. And I suppose if I was a more competitive and evil DM, I could easily have made these a match for our adventurers. I do think that one more goblin would have put them in serious trouble. That about wraps it up for this episode. Now, as a bit of an aside, if you are interested or curious about my t-shirt, it is for sale. You can buy it, not through myself though. I play as part of a podcast game called A Sundered World. It's run by a fantastic DM called Hunter. Go and support him. I'll link the podcast down in the doobly-doo below. And yeah, go check out their merch. If you like this video, then like and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Thank you very much for... Thank you very much.